Hi everyone, I'm Rather Incoherent, and today we're going to be doing some economy testing in Rome Total Realism Imperium Resurrectum version 0.6.1, and I am not talking about the economy rework that just happened. I'm talking about something much simpler. I'm talking about the tax rate. There's a somewhat pervasive myth in the community I've seen pop up in my comments a couple of times now that sounds like min-maxing, and it's really just a trick. And it's the idea that low taxes actually equals more money, because when you do the economy calculations, one of the most important factors is population. And sure, if you crank the taxes in Rome from low to very high, you make a lot more money, going up from 2728 or to 2728 from 1940, almost 1,000 denarii a turn more. But you also see that right now we're only losing 0.5% population, as opposed to at very high we're losing 2% population a turn. And obviously you would like to be talking about growth numbers instead, but this is the start game for Rome. This is just how it is. Don't worry about it. The important thing here being the idea that because we're losing more population or not growing as fast, we're actually not making as much money. There are two problems with this. The first one is the straightforward one. Population matters a lot to how much money you're making, but if we just take a look at Rome at low taxes is making 1,900 with 9,000 population. So if we go over to a city that has far less population, you can see it's making 1,000, could be making 1,400. How many turns for that population difference do you think it's going to take for the population to matter more than the taxes did? I would like to run a test save a very long time, but currently the turn times are quite long, and I don't have the patience to show off just how big the difference would be. But what I am willing to do is run a test save for a short while and talk about the second, much more important difference. Every single settlement Rome has is currently as low as the taxes will go, and they're making 4,220 a turn. That essentially means that they can make like one building a turn, right? This port, that would take 2 turns to make. They're going to make a couple of farms a turn at 4,220, and it'll steadily get a little bit higher, but it won't be the biggest deal. Realistically, if we were to crank the taxes all the way to the opposite end, which is the first test I'm going to be doing, and next we come over to the highest taxes we can currently muster in every settlement, which is going to vary from settlement to settlement, obviously. This is never going to be 100% the same between any 2 empires, any 2 turns, because public order is just like that. But right now, that's 17,000 denarii, around 4 times the income we were just looking at. So immediately you can make a bunch of arguments about, that's a lot of farms per turn, isn't it? Like, I can build all these farms way faster at high tax rate, build all the sewers, all the things contributing towards population growth. I can build all that so much faster at high tax rates, then it should become pretty immediately apparent that your economy is going to grow faster if you make more money that you reinvest into the economy, right? Like, if you're building 4 ports a turn at 17,000, as opposed to still working on farms at low taxes, that's going to immediately result in you having a much faster economy getting off the ground. But it's all sidestepping the most important issue. This 15,000 denarii differential that we're currently looking at, we start off with an army here, right? We have 12 guys, because one of them's gonna stay behind the garrison for most people. Most people don't fully empty the garrison like me. And when you compare the amount of money that we're making, if you were to just disband all of these units, you'd probably come pretty close. Actually, not even. No. I overestimated how expensive this was. 17,000 denarii is like a proper full stack army. If I disbanded both of these armies, that would be in the right ballpark, and I'll go ahead and do that just to show you that this will put us around 30,000 denarii a turn. I actually underestimated. We're only at 28,000. So the most important thing that your money can be doing isn't upgrading all these cities. That's definitely useful. But if you were to disband all these starting armies compared to 17,000 or at 35,000, that's only a little bit more, right? The major issue is that all of this extra money could have been armies, right? You could have turned all of that extra money into military. And that gets into the real debate of tall versus wide. Because how much do I have to improve this settlement to justify not conquering these settlements? And it's not accurate to do it that way. That's disingenuous. I should say these settlements. How much do I have to improve all of this to justify not paying for the army that conquers all of this? And there's no way to do this quickly, right? There's no way for me to sit down and do this quickly, because this is a thing that's going to take like 30 turns to properly show off, that will require me to play the campaign in basically the same way. And I can't not play. I have to actively sit down and play, because such a major difference is the value of the army. I can't do this AFK and not really paying attention. I have to play it properly. And then additionally, the turn times are decently long, meaning any test that goes like the minimum 30 turns that we require to actually show this off is not going to be fast. It's going to take a while. So when it comes to properly testing this, I don't want to create the save and run it and show you. If there's a lot of outcry in the comments about why I should do that and people wanting to see that, then when you're making those comments, tell me what faction you want me to test it on. But I don't think it's the sort of thing where I need to create the 2 parallel saves and show you the difference. I think you can just really easily see that if you look at one and the other, it's a myth. It's not true. If you lower the taxes on everything as low as they go, you make so much less money and you can't reinvest it into population growth. You can't reinvest it into economy. You can't reinvest it into army to take more cities. And 2 cities grow faster than 1 by quite a lot, in fact. Especially when you count the possibility of enslaving all the cities you're taking, right? So there's this immediate opportunity cost to low taxes where people who make this argument, it's something they've been told and they've never really sat down and looked at it because it's so bad. No matter which way you're trying to look at it, low taxes is costing you tremendously. And it's not costing you money. That's not the thing that matters. Neither is population. The only thing that matters in a game called Total War is armies. Population is a means of making money, and money is a means of making armies. It doesn't matter anything else. And I guess to preemptively counter the argument, like, what if I already have enough armies? I've already got 1 in Cisalpine Gaul. I've already got 2 in Sicily, right? What about, like, having 3 in Cisalpine Gaul? Look how many cities are up here. Is that too many? Cool, get on a boat. Go to Corsica, Sardinia. Got that too? That's fine. Go over here. Start a war with Epirus. Start fighting for wonders. If I played a proper Rome campaign by turn 50, I'd have at least 8 stacks fighting in 4 different regions, right? Like, you can't ever say I have enough armies in this game. That's not true. It's not a plausibly correct statement. I can't imagine a world where that's right. You have enough armies when you cannot feasibly make the money to fund more. Now, there is truth to low taxes equals more money, but not as a general statement across your whole empire. It's when you apply it specifically to certain cities, right? As an example with Rome, you just need a huge city, I believe in Italy, if I'm wrong about that, please correct me in the comments, to unlock the legions. I feel like this should actually name the units, but I'm guessing what's going on is there's so many that it just looked like shit. I don't like that it just says the legions exclamation mark. This feels like some Comic Sans bullshit and not actually helpful. But the point being, having 1 city intentionally growing quickly to unlock this makes a ton of sense. Prioritizing growth buildings here, even when they're inefficient, makes a ton of sense. You might want to build like the 7th tier of farm here. The 7th tier, as though that exists. But you might want to build like a tier 4 farm here instead of tier 1 farms everywhere else, even though it's not efficient to do it that way, because getting this city to highest pop is really important. And conversely, if you have cities that are recruiting, in a lot of those places, it really matters to get to tier 3 or tier 4, and they're losing pop constantly because of their recruiting anyway. So there's a lot of reason to lower the taxes in your recruiting centers. Those matter. If you have a city that's about to grow, then getting that growth to happen right now might be more important. That's usually not the case, otherwise it'd be right to lower the taxes all the time. But if there's something that comes at that next level of growth that matters, and the city's otherwise not doing anything, typically, the way that I look at growth is I'm only lowering a city to low, it's a recruiting center, and my economy is managed. Or if I have a reform like Rome does, where I need a specific city and a specific place to reach huge pop, because otherwise I'd probably be faster just conquering from a neighbor with very hard AI hacks, right? In the last situation where I will set a city to low tax, that I probably cannot show you at turn 1 anywhere, is a city that's finished building everything. Now, you should never build all of this, right? In a city like RP, where I'm never building a military, I don't even want that recruitment center. I don't want any of these military buildings. But if I had built the rest of this in RP, I would probably be really strongly considering going down to low taxes. Specifically, if my build queue was full. If every single place had a little check here because they were building something, I would want to lower taxes on settlements that were already almost fully grown or fully grown for their current tier, had built all the stuff they had available. Because otherwise, they're going to sit there, I'm going to be making money I cannot spend, and that's going to become inefficient. But generally speaking, lowering tax rate is something that is not what you want to do, right? That's a problem you want to be avoiding. You want to be making the money and then making use of the money. And if there is an outcry for it, I will run a campaign to test this, but it's not a minor endeavor, right? it's going to be a proper campaign as Rome or some other faction that I have to play very similarly twice. And as a result of that, it's going to end up becoming the main thing that I air on the channel for like a month to test this properly. I would probably find someone other than Rome, because Rome's so big that like each turn is an episode. But I would need to find somebody where they weren't so small that there was almost no impact from the testing. Regardless, that's not important. That's not for now. If you really want to see me run these saves and see how it compares, if my words haven't convinced you and the examples I've shown haven't been enough, then give me a heads up in the comments. But I really think that most people can understand this when I lay it out for them, how it's going to progress. I just feel like most people can see that 14,000 denarii a turn funds an entire full stack army, and that I can conquer a lot of land with that full stack army. It doesn't feel necessary to me in any capacity to go play it out. I think most people can see the difference there. And even the people who are like, I don't want to do that, I want to play tall, they can see how many buildings a turn it is, right? I have like 30 settlements, 4,000 denarii a turn, I'm not building a damn thing. 17,000 is not doing much either, but it's a whole hell of a lot more than 4,000. I think the idea that low tax rate equals more money is really, really fallacious and incorrect, and it's just like a myth that people end up believing without doing the research into it. But there is some merit to it. If a city's finished building everything on its current tier, then maybe lower the taxes so it'll grow faster and you can keep making use of your money, provided that you're already building everywhere and you're actually banking money and not making use of it otherwise. If you have a city that needs to get to the highest level of growth immediately for the purpose of reforms, that's a reason to do it. If it's a recruiting center specifically, because you'll be draining the pop every time you build units, you build 20 units of Hastati in a place, suddenly the pop's looking a lot worse. That's just 1,000 guys out of the city, which is a reminder, I need to change that remastered setting back to the vanilla Rome Total War, because I hate that. It bothers me so much. Like, why does recruiting 120 guys cost 60? Fuck your game balance. Anyways. Recruiting centers, reforms, and finished settlements are the real reasons to lower your taxes. In terms of just making money, it should be self-evident, right? That if the game that they made works, then raising your taxes results in making more money. If low taxes made the most money, then the game is not made correctly. Believing this is a belief that the game is bad. If you're still playing Rome Total War today, I know you don't believe that, so I hope that this helps. I hope that this explains articulately and not aggressively why low taxes isn't good. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I feel like this one's been particularly random, but just in case it was needed for somebody, here it is. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my Patreon supporters, Jeffrey and Evan B, and I'll see you in the next one.